Hello, and welcome to Basic Folk, a podcast where we have conversations with folk musicians. I'm your host, Cindy House. Hello! So nice to have you here today. The world is insane. So it's doubly meaningful that you're taking a break from what's going on in the weird world to listen to Basic Folk this week. We have a tribute concert to Anais Mitchell to share with you today that was recorded at Club Passim. Club Passim is a folk club in Harvard Square. It's a historic venue that's been around for 60 years. People like Joan Baez, Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, Tom Rush all got their start there. It's actually where my day job is. I'm the marketing manager at Club Passim. And because I'm the marketing manager at Club Passim, I wanted to let you know what we're doing in light of the shutdown. The club is closed throughout the duration of the COVID-19 shutdown, however long that is. We are doing streaming shows, and something that in particular I'd love for you to check out is the PAIR Fund, which is the Passim Emergency Artist Relief Fund. And we are also hosting a virtual music festival to raise awareness of the PAIR Fund and to raise money. So you can check out passim.org/PAIR Fund, pear like the fruit, and I will link it on my website, cindyhouse.net. Last time I checked, more artists are being added daily. We have over 80 videos in a YouTube playlist of musicians playing songs of hope, strength, togetherness, comfort. Some are very funny. There is a parody of the Divinals' I Touch Myself from Gin Infantino that is called I Touch My Face, and it is very enjoyable. All right, on to what we're going to hear today on Basic Folk. Songwriters are paying tribute to the great Anais Mitchell. The concert was recorded October 29th at Club Passim, featuring Peter Mulvey, Rose Polenzani, Mark Erelli, Molly Venter of Red Molly, Ali McGuirk, Liv Greene, and Barry Rothman all took part. In between songs, I was there playing clips from Anais's interview on Basic Folk, which she was on this podcast in January of 2019 before Hadestown went to Broadway. You'll also hear clips from musicians and music fans talking about Anais. You'll hear thoughts about this amazing songwriter from Josh Ritter, Difranco, Anthony Mason of CBS News, Josh Kaufman, and Eric D. Johnson. Josh and Eric are bandmates of Anais's from Bonny Light Horseman. This show is part of Peter Mulvey's yearly week-long festival at Club Passim called the Lamplighter Sessions. Anais Mitchell has been quite busy. She, of course, has her folk opera Hadestown on Broadway whenever Broadway reopens again. She has released an album this year with her band Bonny Light Horseman. That is awesome. And she has just given birth to her second child. Her and her husband, Noah, welcomed Rosetta very recently. So sweet. We're releasing this episode on her birthday, March 26th. Happy birthday, Anais. Hope you all enjoyed this concert that was recorded at Club Passim. And let's do it. Starting off with Matt Smith giving us the intro here on Basic Folk.
This is our 9th year of presenting these Lamplighter Sessions here at Club Passim. They started the year of Hadestown here at Club Passim, actually. When Hadestown was here in the spring, we presented these first shows here in the fall. And so we're thrilled to have a night of songs of Anais Mitchell here. And welcome up to the stage. We've got Peter Mulvey and Rose Polenzani and Cindy House over there in the corner, and Barry Rothman.
Hey everybody, I just want to explain what I'm doing over here and what Barry's doing. Put your hands together for Barry Rothman. I have a podcast called Basic Folk, which is a podcast where I interview folk musicians, honest conversations with folk musicians, and Anais was on my podcast this past January. So what I'm going to be doing is playing clips from Basic Folk, as well as clips of other musicians and music fans talking about Anais, and Barry's gonna play some weird shit underneath them.
I remember going to Club Passim at the age of 18. I took like a bus ride to Boston.
From Vermont?
Yeah, from Vermont. I was going to check out Boston. I ended up there on the night of like the campfire. I remember seeing Edie Carey and
the room got excited.
yeah. It just blew my mind. I was like, that is what I want to do. Like I wanted it so bad the moment I saw it. And and I ended up, actually I took like a gap year after high school before college, and I moved to Boston because of Club Passim. I would go to the open mic there, and I was terrified. My hands would shake, and I like couldn't breathe. But I kept going, so it was such like a warm and supportive place to play.
This is Anthony Mason with CBS News. I first saw Anais Mitchell at Rockwood Music Hall in New York City probably a dozen years ago and was immediately smitten with her music. But I was really blown away when I went to see an early performance of Hadestown at the New York Theater Workshop a few years ago. I made a point when I was in London to see it again and saw it twice more on Broadway. I even took my 19-year-old son, who now knows almost every word. I've heard Anais play it on acoustic guitar. I've heard those songs with a big Broadway cast. They're equally stunning either way. And every time I hear it again, I notice something I hadn't before. Anais's music keeps giving and revealing, and for me, that's a huge part of its appeal.
The first time I saw Anais play at Nietzsche's, a bar in Buffalo, I don't even know how long ago this was, a couple decades. And I said, well, that babe is hot shit. And so I immediately sprung into action and thought, I'll get my team behind her. I'll get my booking agent, I'll get my publicist. We should help this girl. And she talked to all my people and said, nah, no thanks. I'm doing my own thing. Which says it all.
Does anybody know who that was? Ani Difranco. Please welcome to the stage, Liv Greene.
Hey everyone. So I'm so honored to be here tonight. Anais Mitchell is one of those songwriters that impacted me so much, and I think I'm the youngest person on this stage tonight, and I think I'm one of the ones who was lucky to know her music in high school, and I've found to be myself. So I'm so impacted by her as a writer and as a musician. And I'm so honored to be here playing some songs of hers. They really impacted the way that I write, and I think learning these songs made me realize all the ways I've stolen from her. This one is from her first record, and it's called Before the Eyes of Storytelling Girls, and I hope I do it justice.
Tell you stories about how the government tells lies. Oh, but no one listens anymore. In the rooms the women come and go, talking on their mobile phones, and the television talks about the war. When I was a baby there was laughter in my house. My daddy smoked domestic cigarettes. And Thursday nights on the radio, live and concert live from Cairo, mother of Egypt. Mama, mama, be with me with the music in your breast and your glittering evening dress and the white flag in your fist trembling. changes in this world. Every day the museum calls, the sun comes up and Baghdad falls before the eyes of storytelling girls. She was just a poor man's daughter, going down into the Sultan's bed. He was desert, she was water. He remembers every word that she said. And I said, Grandma, Grandma, be with me in your tragic wedding gown and your long hair flowing down and the stories tumbling out, tumbling. I could tell you stories like the government tells lies. Oh, but no one listens anymore. In the rooms the women come and go, talking on their mobile phones, and the television talks about the war, and the television talks about the war.
This one is You Are Forgiven. Anybody know the record Young Man in America? Yeah. This is the record that put me on to Anais. And I think a lot of people as well. And this is one of my all-time favorite songs from that record. And you just have to hear it.
Every lump inside your throat, every crumpled little note, every idle dial tone, every hook you hung it on, everything you should have said, everything you said instead, on the stairs and in the hall, anywhere but where he was. Anything he tried to do, any way he looked at you, he was never one to praise anybody to his face. Everything he should have said, anything he said instead, in the empty corridors, anywhere but where you were, and you are, and you are forgiven, and you are, and you are, and you are forgiven. Ooh, 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 looked in the mirror, couldn't believe what you saw. He is as near to you now as he ever was. Grinding your teeth, trying to sleep it off. Waking up with an aching jaw. And you are, and you are, and you are forgiven. You are, you are, you are forgiven.
I first heard Anais music through Austin Nevins, and we were driving in a van in Wisconsin. I remember this really well, in fact. And he said, "You got to listen to this." And he put on a Young Man America, and yeah, that blew my mind. I was incredible. It like spoke to me in a way that made me feel like good music does. It makes you feel less alone. Like that, and that record certainly made me feel less alone at the time. She seems to recognize that there's a vibrating string in each one of us. And she's interested in hearing what that vibrating string has to say, you know? That's a really important and powerful and beautiful thing.
That's Josh Ritter.
Hey, this is Josh Kaufman, Anais' friend from Bonny Light Horseman. I came to her music kind of late. Friends had always told me about her, and she kind of existed like a mysterious folk legend. A few years ago, I was invited by our friend, mutual friend, Ray Rizzo, to play a set with Anais, and I had no idea how my world was about to change. Her album, Young Man in America, quickly became my life soundtrack, and she and I became fast friends, chasing around old songs and melodies. Working with Anais is like hanging around someone with the keys to a vault so brimming with ideas and creativity it's hard to describe. For every great idea she has, there's a drop-down menu, 5 others queued up, just as realized and poignant as the last. The combination of her poetry and her voice never miss an inch of emotion. She's like wired to all humanity. I don't know what the hell she's doing, but it transcends us and it connects us, and I can't believe I went so long without it. Life is so weird. Thanks for everything, Anais.
Please welcome to the stage Molly Venter.
I think one of the most enviable things about Anais is how she's been able to take her kind of solo singer-songwriter persona and collect like a group of people and to be bringing Hadestown around to different places. I feel like this show is channeling a little bit of that desire and that effort, because there's all of us back there in the green room, like getting ready, like we're going to perform in a play together. And it's really sweet. Rose got us these roses. Pretty great. Okay, this song. I just love this song. Speaking of what you were doing, Cindy, what you were talking about. My mother gave a mighty shout, opened her legs and let me out. Hungry as a prairie dog, young man in America, young man in America. Hungry, hungry, running every which way, young man in America. I come out like a cannonball, come of age of alcohol, raving in a field of rye, with a black and roving eye, black and roving eye, ravenous, ravenous, what you got is not enough, young man in America. Oh, shelter, mother shelter, mother shelter us. Ooh, my father was a lord of land. My daddy was a repo man, put me out onto the streets, did not give a damn for me, did not give a damn. Daddy, daddy, gonna wish you never had me. I'm a young man, I'm growing right before your eyes. I might grow to such a size, blowing like a hurricane. Everyone will know my name, everyone know my name. Blowing in, blowing up, shadow on a mountaintop, young man in America. Oh, shepherd, father shepherd, father shepherd us. Ooh, in my feathers and my furs, clothes of many colors, many men will envy me when I'm in my finery, me and my finery, envy me, spending all of my bright money, young man in America. Maybe I will climb the stairs with the girl against this lonely world, up against the world. It's a lonely, lonely world for a yellow-headed girl and a young man. Like the wind, I make my moan. Howl in the canyon. There's a hollow in my bones. Make me cry and carry on. Make the foam fly from my tongue. Make me want what I want. Another wayward son, waiting on oblivion, waiting on a kingdom come to meet me in my sin, waiting to be born again. Mama, kiss me cheek and chin. A little medicine, and then I shed my skin. Let me climb back in the bed you made me in. Thank you, guys. This is a super fun night. I moved to Austin, Texas in 2004, April of 2004, and after about a month or so, I was feeling pretty good about myself, going out on the Austin scene, and then in early June, she had just won the Kerrville New Folk competition, and she was playing a concert with Jonathan Bird at the Cactus Cafe. So I saw that, and I was like, oh, fudge. And I'm so grateful to have had her songs to listen to for 14 years. Never played them for people, but here you go. If I can't keep it, at least let me call it by name. That was called falling. This is called pain. It's called love, what I'm losing. I know love is a stranger. I know the changes come. I know love is a changer. I'm gonna go quietly. You don't have to tell me to. Just let me lie a little longer next to you. I'm not trying to bother you. I'm just trying to breathe you in. Then I will leave you there where you are sleeping. And speaking of loving you, I do. I'm telling you, stranger to stranger, whatever changes come to you. I'm telling you, changer to changer. Morning has stolen your shadow from me, but I hold its shape in my mind. It's the shape of your back when you turned it on me one last time. And out in the waking world, nobody understands exactly how light it is, exactly how free I am. One minute I'm laughing, and the next one I'm lost. I'm watching the birds fly by, I'm watching the highways cross, and speaking of loving you, I do. I'm telling you, stranger to stranger, whatever changes come to you. I'm telling you, changer to changer. If I can't keep it, at least let me call it by name. I seen Venus, Venus coming. She come down on a cloud machine, and I believe
see her face again and again. I wanna see her again. I seen Venus, Venus leaving. I don't even know what it means, but I believe that she's the only woman I ever see.
Right. Oh, so my parents were hippies, and they both were raised in suburban environments. They hitchhiked to California for the summer of love, and they were like full on. There was some like Whole Earth catalog that came out that said, "Oh, you hippies should go back to the land and like start a farm." This is just like the family lore, you know. They saw in the Whole Earth catalog that there was land in Vermont, and they moved to Vermont and they bought this farm. But it was like an ethos, you know, it was a whole move they made.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people in Vermont actually that moved there in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, you were calling them back to the landers,
Totally.
which I had not heard of before.
It's a thing.
So it's like a movement that happened.
Yeah.
Is there a Wikipedia page?
I bet there is.
Okay.
Yeah, it
I'll
was
look it
like,
up
let's
later.
go back to the land, and if you did that, you were back to the lander.
Okay.
And so they did. They bought this farm. They also, like, my dad had started writing in college. They met at Swarthmore College. My dad had a book published when he was still in school, which is so crazy to me to think about. Then one of his early books was made into a movie, and they suddenly, like, had some money from that. They first actually moved to this island in Greece. That was a thing. Like, a bunch of expatriates lived there, and Leonard Cohen lived on this island.
So were they friends with Leonard Cohen?
I don't know, friend might be a strong word, but they went to some parties that he was at.
Whoa.
It was called Idra, this island. Mm-hmm. And then they, I guess with what was left of the money, they bought this farm in Vermont. And that's where I grew up. And it's so weird to, you know, that Vermont was like my whole world for so long and still is like really important to me. And it's just like some choice that my parents made when they were...
They just saw it in a catalog.
Early 20, totally, right.
So the next clip I had queued up was Mark Erelli, who's on stage right now. So I thought maybe, can you just talk about the song that you're going to play? Because you said such beautiful things about it.
Sure.
Does everyone know Mark Erelli?
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. This is truly an honor. I was texting with Anais this morning, actually, and she said that, "Oh, I'm so honored you're doing it." And it's one of those times when it's like truly, I don't know, I could fight her. Like, it's more, the honor's more mine. Like, truly. This song, the first song I'm going to play, it was a lot funnier 15 years ago. Now it feels kind of like, yeah, this is totally possible. Like, it should at least be playing over the closing credits of an episode of The Handmaid's Tale or something like that. This is one from the first record. It's called 1984. Down at headquarters, there's a big database with black and white photos of the side of your beautiful face and your library records and all your test scores and an invitation to party like it's 1984. Well, baby, don't look so nervous. They just want the facts. And it's all written down in the USA Patriot Act. 'Cause we don't take no chances in a nation at war. So tonight we're gonna party like it's 1984. Baby, what did I tell you about the house being buzzed? They can hear us making breakfast. They can hear us making love. Excuse me a minute. Big brother's at the door, and he's ready to party like it's 1984. You know you're my one and only, and you always have been. And it sure is gonna be lonely after I turn you in. But I'll wait till tomorrow to file my report, so tonight we can party. Yeah, tonight we're gonna party. Oh, tonight we can party like it's 1984. Right? It's like, oh, that's so good. That's so true. It's crazy. It's, man, I love that one and always have, but this one is truly one of my favorite songs that anyone's ever written. There's a small handful of songs for every songwriter. We were talking about this backstage that you just can't get through without kind of dissolving into a ball of tears, and we all have them, and we all have different reasons for them. They're generally other people's songs. Sometimes they're your own songs. My songs have done that to me, at least when they were first written. And this one of Anais's does it to me. Hopefully not every time, but it seems like it happens every time. I actually I was going to make it a surprise, but I texted her this morning and I said, please, in all caps, tell me the secret. What do you think of when you sing this song? Is it pickles? Is it balloons? Like, what do you think of to distract yourself from just coming completely undone? And she didn't really have much to offer me there. She's like, I do all my crying during the writing of the song, and then once it's written, I'm totally fine. And it's like, I didn't write it. So I don't have any of that to lean back on. But there's let's see, there's 3 chords, 5 verses, and probably about 95% of the available wisdom in all of the world at any given time in this song here. So. When I think about dying, I think about children. And when I think about children, I think about you. And when I think about you, I feel like crying. Crying for my youth. And when I think of my youth, I think of my freedom. And when I think of my freedom, I feel so alone. And when I feel lonely, I want want you to hold me in your arms. And when I think of your arms, I think about sleeping like a baby all through the night. And when I think of the night, I feel like weeping for my life. And when I think of my life, oh, I wanna be with you, shoulder to shoulder, when we're waking up, and we're waking up, and we're one day older, and we're making love. And when we make love, I think about children, and then I think about dying, lying in your arms. You wanna know why I'm crying? Now you know.
Thank you so much.
And so, yeah, it was a special time. I was living with my partner Noah in Montpelier, and he had this cafe with some of his friends, the Lane Street Cafe.
Oh yeah, that place was rad.
So beautiful. It was like it was almost like, what's that musical about Brigadoon, where it just like popped up, and then like it lasted for however 7 years or something, and then it disappeared. Oh, wow. But it was a whole world, you know, and people, you just go, and everyone was always there, and all our like artist musician friends would come through town and play that cafe, and it really like made a lot of things happen. I think Hadestown wouldn't have happened if it weren't for that cafe.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. That's how it started out.
You applied for a grant, and that like made you're like, okay, I need to do this now.
Totally. And when I think about how much that grant was, so this is like a good like plug for just support for the arts, right? When I think about how much it wasn't that much money, you know, but at the time it felt like, oh my God, I'm gonna do this. Like now I have to make this folk opera, you know?
Right.
There's something, I feel like there is something to the kind of leap and the net will appear, or like that those small grants exist for artists, like people will make things happen on a shoestring, you know, and that's exactly what we did. Like we really didn't have that much money. The Hadestown art that he did was so like, that was such a mystical process of working with him on that. Like I had seen this one print he'd made that looked to me like the Persephone character, and I said, hey, can I use that? And can you also make these portraits of these other characters in the show? And he said yes. And each of the characters, he would give them sort of an object. Like he gave Hades this little songbird, and he gave the Fates like a pair of scissors and some film. We mostly would talk about like what those objects would be, but he brought me that Eurydice illustration, and she was holding a flower. And I didn't know why. I asked him about it, and he's like, I don't know, it just felt right. And it was sort of a poppy-looking flower. I was working on some new song, like the album wasn't finished yet, and I wrote that song Flowers because of the illustration he had made.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so it really was like we were collaborating in this way where I feel, and this happens with mythology, but where it's almost like just like unearthing a thing from the ground. Or the thing about the sculpture in the stone, like the sculpture's already there, and he happened to like chip away at the shoulder of the thing, and it was like, oh my God, that's like, of course, flower, that's the image that she needs.
Please welcome Allie McGuirk.
Wow. This is such a cool format for a show. I'm so grateful to be here doing this. I feel kind of especially grateful because, and like weird because I'm actually fairly new to this music of Anais Mitchell, although I think, like was said earlier, either by a person or an audio, is that she does, you know, like she is like a spirit in these parts. If you're around New England, I'm realizing she's in a lot of hearts, and it's very clear why, because this has all been just like a roller coaster of emotion and beauty this evening. This song is very pretty, and I hope I do it justice. She's got some lyrics, my friends. Lord, have mercy on my mind, mercy on my memory. I'm lying beneath the same Virginia sky where she lay beside me, biding time, trying to bide me. Every night when the night was long, she was clinging to me. Told me twice how her love was strong, stronger than the love in old love songs she was singing to me. Oh, Shenandoah, across the rolling water. Oh, Shenandoah, where's your restless daughter? Don't know what I gave them for all my little lessons. How you start the peas before the corn, how you start before the air is warm. She was never listening. I could see it in her sorry eyes, hear it in her breathing. It didn't come to me as no surprise, didn't even ask her why. When she said I'm leaving, oh, Shenandoah, across the rolling water. Oh, Shenandoah, where's your willful daughter? I brought in the winter squash, I brought in the melon, I could feel it coming. I can see her now in her flowery clothes, all the things I bought her, trailing perfume wherever she goes, across the rolling water, Shenandoah. Where's your restless daughter, Shenandoah? Where's your willful daughter, Shenandoah? Oh, mercy on your daughter. Thank you very much.
I read this great quote from Sing Out. It says, Anais sings of love among the ruins, coming out of age to find yourself an outsider looking for the place you belong. So I think belonging and the search for belonging is pretty common in the human experience. And I think it can be very difficult. So what has been your relationship to the search for belonging?
I remember when that thing came out, and I think it was right around when the Brightness record came out, and there were all these songs on that album that I think had something to do with me always feeling like I was born at the wrong time. Do you know?
Yeah.
And like having like grown up in this house, like gotten very romantic notions about like books I'd read, and then coming into the world as if it's like a black and white image of I'm just imagining like Greenwich Village in the 1960s or Paris in the 30s, and like coming at it, and then like the reality of it. Like I had that one song that had this line in it. I've completely like spaced out what the song is, but the line is like, maybe I came too early, maybe I came too late. I'm waiting in the shadows of the scaffolds of the old cafes where you told me to wait, And just this idea of like you go looking for the scene, and then it's like, what is that? It's the KFC, or it's just not the same. So does this make sense? Like, I think that's where that quote came from, was that album and that sort of sense of like not. But I think, a lot of playing music has been sort of a quest for the community of other people that are playing music. And it's like so important to be reminded of that, because a lot of the process of writing is like very solitary, and you're like in your room, you're trying to make something happen, and but it feels so good to play music with other people and for other people.
I think I first met Anais Mitchell in Montreal at the Folk Alliance, whenever that would have been, in the 90s possibly, time we call the 20th century. And but then the first time I ever heard her sing songs was around a campfire at Harper's Ferry at the New Song Festival. And it was just mind-bending how good the songs were, so I bought her record. And then there was this little window of time when she was not, that she would open shows for me. This has changed. And but she opened a show that I played up in at the Valley Players Theater in Waitsfield, and she showed up out of a snowstorm, and we were backstage, and I just told her I had that record, and I just told her how great I thought it was, just how fantastic the writing was, and all the use of internal rhymes and all the nerdy stuff. I was just like lauding her and encouraging her and praising her, and then she went on stage and sang a couple tunes, and then she said, well, I just spent 10 minutes backstage with Peter Mulvey, and he's such a reassuring presence. He reminds me of Dan Rather. Yeah. And I was like, ow. Anderson Cooper, anything other than a septuagenarian? Hey, Uncle Louie, I wrote you a song. I heard you got your heart out of pawn. I heard you got your king out of check. At least that's where things stood when I saw you last. It was New Orleans before the flood. You just met a girl, you were falling in love. She lived on the levee and she knew the blues, and she played harmonica better than you. In the neighborhood bars, in the middle of summer, shoulder to shoulder, sitting like sister and brother. And all of the sorrows that you told each other, they rose like smoke from the room. And the heat and the bourbon, they were in your head. And you were talking in tongues, and you were back from the dead. And the girl and the city, they were one and the same. Last call never came, and I can see you swimming out into the street, and I can hear you singing, when I die, don't cry for me. Hey, Uncle Louie, the city is spinning. She sure is pretty. You sure are grinning. She is leading you home from the heat of the bar to lie on the levee and look at the stars. You can hold her hand, you can kiss her face, but go slow if you can, for the world is a very sad place. And when she leaves, she'll leave no trace, and the world will still be there. So you lie on the levee, stones for pillows, and the sky is all colored in purples and yellows, and you and the girl and the city make love with a harlequin sky up above. Thank you very much. I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't point out she does that all the, like, that was one of her signature moves. Like, seriously, like that's like her basically it's her harmony. Her harmony is like super advanced. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say she's a goddamn killer guitar player. Like, and I feel like it's the John Lennon effect that's going on, right? Where it's like there's so much to talk about with Anais Mitchell that like John Lennon was a killer rhythm player. Like, he was just as good as anybody at that. But it's not, it's not the first or the fifth or really the 17th thing that you think about when you're talking. Anyway. Anais goddamn Mitchell, people. Well, here's one from way back when. This is called Old Fashioned Hat. She has a whole bunch of songs that I feel like she wrote intending that gruff old men should sing them. Which, makes sense. I mean, she does have that huge, deep, craggy, cavernous voice. Summer. Oh, you're in trouble now. Summer went the way of spring. Winter's waiting in the wings. We haven't saved anything, but it's all right. There's still a little money we haven't spent. We've already paid the rent. Go put on something different. You're going out tonight. I have loved you for so long, even when I could only do you wrong. Go see if they have our song on a jukebox over there, where $1 gets you 7 plays. I will watch you through the smoky haze, secret smile on your face. Sorry if I stare, but you look like a stranger in that old-fashioned hat. And I got a pocket full of change, and I don't want to go home yet. Clearly I remember when I used to scratch my little poems in the backs of other lovers in the dark rooms of my mind. But that was before I made my home here in the marrow of your bones. And now I know your figure like my own, even from behind. And you look like a stranger in that old-fashioned hat. And I got a pocket full of change, and I don't want to go home yet. Hey, and we'll be married soon. We'll be dancing to this very tune, and then we'll have a honeymoon, and then we'll start to fight. So bring the tonic, bring the gin. Say, what was your name again? Put another quarter in. Stay with me tonight. You look like a stranger in that old-fashioned hat. And I got a pocket full of change, and I don't want to go home yet. I did the first time, the first like proper, and the first and I guess the only proper tour of that I ever did with Anais was she opened a run of shows that I did, maybe 6 or 8 shows in Alaska in 2010, and again, like the little Venn diagram has this tiny little window in it where she was opening shows for me. It's like this little just so, but And when I travel in Alaska, I had the great pleasure of traveling with a good friend of mine from Waterford in Ireland, and then another good friend of mine from Spain, and Damien and Natalie. And so we all flew, and we met up at the Chili's in the Anchorage airport, Anais and I and Damien and Natalie, and flew up to Fairbanks, and it's October, which means that there's already 1.5 feet of snow on the ground. There were 2 shows at this joint called the College Coffee House, and we were like, this is going to be fun, this is going to be great, we got to rent a Toyota Camry, we're going through the interior, we're going to play in Toke. It's going to be beautiful, we're going to eat reindeer sausage. And then Anais got up and sang this song, which which is called Shepherd. And she murdered the entire audience. Like they were all dead after this song. I thought, what an interesting opening gambit at a tour, is that you just meet the first audience and kill them all stone dead. And me, she killed me, and she killed Damien, and she killed Natalie. She killed everyone in the room.
Said the shepherd to his wife, the crop of hay is cut and dried. I'll bale it up and bring it in before the coming storm begins. Go, she said, and beat the storm, and then there is another chore. Today the baby will be born. You take me to the hospital. Said the shepherd, if it's true, 'twere better if I stayed with you. I'd rather let the harvest go and hasten to the hospital. Nay, she told him, I'll be fine. We both have laboring to do. You do yours and I'll do mine, and the babe will wait till the work is through. The shepherd rode the yellow rose, the clouds above and the fields below, until the bales had all been tied. Then homeward turned to find his wife. The sweat was wet upon her brow, her breath it cameth laboredly, and then the rain was coming down upon the field of yellow hay. Said the shepherd, it's no use, the rain will surely win the race. 'Twere better if we let it fall and hurry to the hospital. Go, she said, and work with haste, and bring the bales into the barn, else the crop will go to waste, and the babe will wait till the work is done. The shepherd drove into the storm, and to and from the yellow barn, till half the bales were safely in. He went to find his wife again. How many times her name he called, and no replying would she make. Her breath it cameth not at all, she would not rise from where she lay. The storm was o'er within the hour. The shepherd saw the sun come out. The shepherd's wife saw ne'er again. He buried her and the babe within. He turned the seed into the ground. He brought the flock to feed their own. He held the cleaver and the plow, and the shepherd's work was never done.
Yeah, that's like Grimm's fairy tales there. Good night, Susie.
Hey, this is Eric D. Johnson. I have a band called Fruit Bats, and I also have a band called Bonny Light Horseman, where I get to sing songs with Anais Mitchell, who's maybe my favorite singer to sing with. I don't know. Don't tell other singers that I've sung with, but she is... it's something indescribable in her voice that is very connective and very deep. She's both empathetic and yet also a magical fairy creature from outer space. So you have this combination of a magical fairy creature from outer space and like your sister. It's very grounding and very transportive at the same time, what she does. So happy Anais night, everybody in Boston. Have a good one. Bye.
This week's episode of Basic Folk produced by Adam Corey, our business manager Lindsay Myers. Laura McCarthy is a producer on Basic Folk as well. Our music done by Alex Stanton of Townspeople. What else? I'm Cindy. I host the podcast. I hope you're holding up all right. And don't forget to check out Passim's Keep Your Distance Fest, which I'll link on my website, cindyhouse.net. And that is also where you can find all the past episodes of Basic Folk or wherever you get podcasts. If you enjoyed this, what would be so great is if you would forward this to your mom or your dad or somebody in your life who just cannot stop looking at the news, who might actually enjoy chilling out for like 45 minutes. Just send it to them. I would love it. All right, so great that you're listening all the way to the end. I will talk to you next week. Okay, bye.